I have been just very stressed out by this as far as him not being over there. It's pathetic and stupid and I hate it. And it just makes me mad and I just can't say much. I don't get to so you know. He can go over there now and sure needs to. It's about time more realistic conversations that happened last year between Kody and I. And you guys don't talk though, you guys don't communicate. You guys don't communicate very well at all though, so I don't really see how that could be even legitimate. We've communicated better the last 6 months, really, don't you think so? No, not at all. The only real negotiation we've had is how we're splitting there. Just 50, that's the only negotiated. You don't think that we've had better conversations than we've had in your I do. That's your fantasy. Music. Hey friends, it's Kody from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It is Wednesday, April 24th, 2024. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. Well, it is the continued efforts of researching clips, finding clips, and dissecting details about sister wives that have been left on the cutting room floor in the United States. Today's update is about Robyn Brown. I was digging through some content over in Australia. Yes, the UK version exists, and so does an Australian version and TLC. Australia shared clips of the season where Christine left, so season 17. The clips shared are a vastly different picture of Robyn Brown and her response to the departure of the wives. I think fans in the United States will remember that Robyn in the tell-all was very angry, very adamantly angry at the wives at Kody, and saying she was tired of people coming at her for not communicating. She was tired of people not doing the work to fix their relationships, and that she was tired of feeling bad because she communicates, and they said. And in this episode, she so lambasted them about what they do in the bedroom with Kody or what they don't do, fat shaming them, all of the things. This is how I've been, and I'm tired of being punished and blamed, people thinking I'm a bad person because I'm communicating. I'm tired of feeling bad that I have a good relationship with Kody when other people don't. That's on them. They need to figure that out. She was the one that made choices, Janelle's the one that made choices. They handed him to me and said we don't want to spend time with him. Basically, he's had wives reject him affection-wise because they are uncomfortable or they don't like it. She seemed angry that she lost control, kind of like doing what Kody is doing, where he is angry because he lost control and he lost power. She felt like she had maybe some power in being the legal wife, and all these women are leaving her with the guy that she doesn't want to be with, and she's only using for his money. This is the same woman that went as far as saying in the tell this last season that she was romantically in love with Kody, but that actually contradicts what she said in season 17, where she didn't marry Kody for romantic purposes. I kind of said to myself, I don't really care so much about the romantic part of relationship. I cared about whether or not he was a good husband, a good man. I cared about what I was going to give to my children. That was my ultimate and biggest, most important thing. Kody has all but confirmed that Robyn married him for his quote-unquote money and status. When he said that a woman, he implied that his wife married him because of what his other wives were getting, because she wanted to marry up, because she wanted more status, she wanted more prestige. He basically called her a gold digger, and anytime he has problems with Robyn, whether it's emotional or with the family, he goes and takes their shopping. They go on trips, they go out to eat, he spends money on her. That's how he keeps her in line. He gives her things, and then she doesn't complain, and he lavishes her with presents so that she stays, because he understands what's important to her, what she can give to herself, and what she can give to her kids. She wanted money. He knows that she knows that, so it's laughable that she says she's in love with him. But I digress. On these clips that are shared in Australia and in the UK, she's a lot more angry about Kody not going to the other wives' houses. She's more annoyed that he's around all the time, and she's annoyed because he's angry and he's taking it out on her, so she's mad that they aren't fixing it with Kody, even though these women have been in untenable and dysfunctional and abusive relationships for almost 30 years. and don't want to deal with him anymore, which is effectively why I think she said they handed him to me because they didn't want Kody anymore. They didn't want to be abused anymore. But she was part of Kody's abusive system, whether intentionally or not. But here is one of the examples of her talking about Kody not fixing things, and how he's over at the house all the time. Kody's been at my house a lot just because of all the decisions that are being made. It's been kind of tough with him there so much because he's just really angry and he's very unhappy. He's struggling with what's going on with Christine, and he's struggling with the decisions Janelle is making. And so he's mad all the time, or the tone doesn't tell me that she's actually mad at Kody. She's blaming the women for not doing what Kody wants them to do, which is then being punished to her through Kody's behavior of being angry, grumpy, and hard to be around, and Kody taking things out on her. So what she's doing is saying these ladies are making my life hell because they won't fix things with Kody, and they won't just do whatever he wants. And their fault, not Kody's. She's not blaming Kody for being angry. She's not blaming him for being a dictator. She's not blaming him for being impossible to be around because of his dictatorial behavior, or the fact that he does want anyone to have an opinion outside of her, own his own. She doesn't really address the fact that the neglect with Kody happened well before the COVID situation, that this leaving him was a byproduct of years of neglect by Kody in favor of at Robyn's house. But I will say I do think that Robyn got some reprieve at night where she would be away from him, because he did spend nights at Christine's house and he would spend Janelle's house, so she hasn't had him at her house 24 hours a day. She did get nights away from him, which she probably enjoyed. I mean, who wants to be around someone like Kody all the time? He's probably exhausting. And now she's the one that has to deal with it all the time. But instead of blaming Kody, she's blaming the women, kind of like what she did in the tell-all. But we didn't see this clip on our seasons in the United States. So she's constantly shaming them for not falling in life. I had to explain it to my kids. I had to talk to my kids and say, Dad's going through a lot right now. We're all going to try to be just patient with him. And so that's my job, I guess, is just trying to be patient with what's going on. So to give you context, when Robyn divorced her first husband, she claimed that it was unhealthy, it was abusive, that she couldn't stay. It would have been good for the kids, when in reality he just didn't have money, and she had a spending problem, and he left her because she racked up debt. But with Kody, it's totally fine for him to verbally abuse her and verbally abuse the kids and be a raging a hole at home because she somehow can justify this because he fulfills her need for things or something. She is materialistic, so he knows how to keep her happy. But it just seems very hypocritical for her to in one breath say, I couldn't stay with my ex-husband Preston for XI and Z, and he was abusive, and then stay with a man that is literally demonstrating abusive behavior on television on the daily and is very abusive to everyone in his life. I do not believe for a minute Robyn is immune to the abuse, and that doesn't mean Robyn is innocent by any means. It just means that Kody isn't going to just give Robyn everything she wants. He admitted on the tell-all that he was picking fights with her, and that he was taking his anger out on her. He was admitting to punishing himself by fighting with her to sabotage the marriage. He said that his anger was a turnoff. He said these things. He has been punishing himself by inflicting wounds on Robyn, which is the exact thing and the exact behavior a narcissist would do. They inflict emotional pain on others, but they only believe that they're inflicting it on themselves, because they cannot see the pain of anyone else. He doesn't see that he's hurting Robyn by doing this or the kids. He only sees that he's sabotaging himself, and she justifies that by saying, well, he's just self-sabotaging, that's it. And I just need to be patient because he doesn't mean it, which is enabling an abusive man. So in the same clip, Janelle says something that we also haven't heard, that the issues with Kody extended beyond Garrison and Gabriel, and all of the kids were excluded from Kody's life, and she was struggling with that. Above all, I'm trying to maintain my marriage when Kody is around. I to act like nothing's wrong, that Garrison's not living in a trailer. I'm anxious that Kody and I will reestablish kind of an even ground, but the unspoken here is that he won't see Gabriel Garrison or any of my other adult children if they were to come into town. So once again, I have to kind of choose. Janelle has alluded to this before in other clips and other parts of this season where he wasn't having relationships with the other adult children. She's also alluded to the fact that as long as she ignored the problems and didn't talk about them, everything with Kody was fine. But what is interesting here is that she said, I have to ignore the fact that Garrison is living in a trailer. Garrison wasn't the only child thrown out of a house because they didn't obey Kody. He did the exact same thing to Dayton. Dayton was also thrown out by Kody for not abiding by his COVID rules. And at no point did Robyn allow the dialogue or the argument between Kody and Dayton to become a storyline. Kody never spoke about the issues with Dayton on the show. He protected the conflict with Dayton at the expense of Garrison. Both kids were doing the same thing. Neither one of them wanted to follow the rules of Kody, which were asinine and stupid and over the top. And one boy is verbally abused and accosted and made an example of, and the other one is completely left alone now. There's obviously some differences between the two boys. One is with his favorite wife, and what is with, but the behavior is the same. Garrison is annihilated publicly. Dayton's entire living in a trailer is hidden from the public because Kody and Robyn don't want to show the public that he's doing these bad behaviors to everyone, and that no child is immune from his wrath. Frankly, no kid should be kicked out and thrown into a trailer when a family is on television making a lot of money. No child should be kicked out during the pandemic and thrown out because an authoritarian man wants to keep his show going. All he cared about was money. He didn't care about the well-being of the kids. If he did, he wouldn't stick his kids in trailers and Flagstaff in the mountains in the winter. It's cold there, very cold, and it's windy, and it's just I know a lot of people do live in trailers, but there they were not outfitted to live in these long-term, but the kids did. And one kid became the example, and the other kid's story was completely ignored. I do believe that they ignored the story line with Dayton, because if they made public that they stuck a child with a disability, an adult child with a disability, autism, in a trailer because he didn't abide by rules, it could be considered abuse of a dependent, of a vulnerable dependent. If Dayton qualifies for services under Social Security, which he likely does due to his disability, that could be reported to the county, it could be reported to a social work worker, it could be reported to the police. So they weren't going to tell the public what they were doing to Dayton because it would be considered abusing a person with a disability. I spoke with neighbors that told me that the trailer that he was living in did not appear to have plumbing, was not well put together, was certainly not equipped to manage the cold weather and the storms and the ice that happens in this specific area, and that some people in the area were concerned about him because of it. And I don't believe any calls were made, and certainly if there were, we would never know. But he can't if he goes after Dayton. He looks like he's abusing a vulnerable adult, and that could actually be criminal. So he's hiding what he's doing to Dayton, but then he's lambasting Garrison. It's horrific to both boys. Either way, I have been just very stressed out by this. As far as him not being over there, it's pathetic and stupid, and I hate it. And it just makes me mad, and I just can't say much. I don't get to, so he can go over there now, and sure needs to. It's about time. I noticed that in the clips that are offered on in Australia and in the UK, Robyn swears a lot, and a lot of what the women have said, and even the kids, is that the view of Robyn you see on the show is not at all how she is, that she's a lot more aggressive, and a lot more not so nice with her words, and can be hostile, can fly off the handle. And here you hear her say that she finds it pathetic and stupid that he's not staying over at the other house, which I don't know what's pathetic or stupid about it, if she's mad at Kody or the women, but it's pathetic and stupid, which are not adjectives that I would describe for people wanting to end relationships. And she might think it's pathetic and stupid that they can't solve problems. But I want to remind people that Robyn is not the best communicator herself, because she believed that Christine was saying something that she wasn't and flew off the handle at Christine during the knife in the kidney episode. So you can't say this is just like was all a big fat lie. Let's just be honest about where it was at, and that it wasn't just Kody and I. Between Kody and I, you guys don't talk though, you guys don't communicate, you guys don't communicate very well at all though, so I don't really see how that could be even legitimate, because you're saying the only relationship that was going okay was mine and Kody's. And that's never said that you did say that you said in Vegas. The only people that were close was us. I didn't say Robyn. Her narcissism shines through when she tells people and demeans them and literally insults them by saying you guys don't know how to communicate, and it's not legitimate communication because in Robyn's eyes, unless she's involved in the mediation, and they're communicating the way that she would communicate, which means blowing things out of proportion and accusing people of having vendettas against her and saying things that they didn't say and implying things that they didn't imply and claiming that everyone is against her when yes, people were upset with her. And I'm sure Kody was 100% egging a lot of that animosity on and pitting them all against each other. But at the same time, she's paranoid, and she's paranoid because she knows she's guilty, and she's reacting to the fact that she knows that she was the only relationship in Vegas that was good.